Hey guys, welcome to The Break. My name is Frankie.
And I'm Alex.
I'm here with Alex, and this is our prequel episode of the podcast where basically we're just going to introduce ourselves, talk a little bit about what we're trying to do with The Break,
Sure.
some of the guests that we have coming up. And yeah, so let's...
Can't wait.
Yeah. This is really exciting because we've been
really.
trying to do a podcast for a while, and what we really want to do with the community of entrepreneurs is kind of give them tips, tricks, different things, pitfalls that they can avoid that we've come across, that guests that we're going to have coming on the show have come across, that we can empower that next level of generation of entrepreneurs to do what they want to do, to break out. That's the whole point of The Break. We want them to stop doing what they think they're supposed to do and start doing what they actually want to do.
That's right.
So that's what we're doing here with The Break. This prequel episode, I think we can just probably talk a little bit about me, you,
Sure,
in reverse order.
Let's keep it going. Yeah.
So yeah, why don't you introduce yourself?
Awesome. Yeah. So we're really excited about this. I think this is definitely going to be a learning experience as we keep going.
Yeah.
But it's really exciting just to kind of get out there, explain kind of our path, our journey, and then hopefully it resonates with others. I think it does because we've been getting some great support so far.
Yeah.
But really, yeah. So anybody
dive in. Who are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Who
am I?
People,
yeah.
Who are you?
So yeah, my name's Alex Simon. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Elude. Basically, my background is really in finance, right? So the last 5+ years, I've been doing a handful of, I guess you could say, business management type work for investment banks over at Morgan Stanley, Deutsche Bank.
But even before this,
Before
let's actually
all this.
go
Yeah,
before
yeah,
this.
let's keep going.
So when you were in high school,
Yeah.
right? Because when I was in high school, I definitely didn't think about now, like doing
Sure.
what we're doing now.
Yeah.
So why don't you take us back then? Like,
Okay.
what kind of person were you?
Yeah, so I was
high
voted class
school?
clown.
Really?
That was my. If you go to my my yearbook, I was voted class clown.
Perfect.
Actually, my graduation day, I had one of those like one-man suits. So I actually received my diploma. There's a photo out there of me actually receiving my diploma with a one-man suit. I could definitely find that. But yeah, I was extremely just kind of out there.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was just more about, I think I was always just trying to get attention. I think that's probably where it came from. But I completely switched from high school to college. So was probably... I think I graduated with 200, a little bit more than 200 people. I was probably 196.
From New Jersey. We're both from New Jersey.
Yeah.
East Coast. Now we live on West Coast.
Yeah, we live on the West Coast. Cali living. But yeah, so in high school, it was like I was probably 193 out of 200. I graduated at the lowest. Yeah, but hey, graduated. But yeah, so from there, I'd say, it just kind of turned. I started to actually like what I was doing versus in high school. You just kind of get thrown, right? Different.
I think in high school, it's definitely, at least for me, it was when you go to high school, it's kind of like going through the motions. I have to go to class, the bell rings, I have to go to the next class, I have to go to the next class. And you get to take some electives and kind of figure out what you like.
Yeah.
But for me, it was more about just going through the motions and not really getting anything that meaningful out of it. I know a lot of my friends from high school actually were very successful, and right out of high school got into great colleges, started doing amazing work.
Yeah, that's
not really me until much later. And I think that's the same thing. So yeah, when I got to college, no idea what I wanted to do. I was undeclared for the first year.
Yeah.
Changed majors four or five times.
I didn't know that.
Before I finished with business.
Yeah.
But during all that time, it was psychology, communications, whatever else Rider University had to offer, I dipped my toes in there. But it was at the very end of college where I realized that all the creative stuff that I had done, my favorite classes were video and filmmaking, anything that had to do with making something in the creative field. But at the time, I thought you had to get a business degree and get a job and do things like that. And it wasn't until after I graduated college where I was like, you know what? I really have these interests. I should have pursued that instead. And that's when I went back to school in New York for acting, just to
jump in
and see what that was all about. But that was my college, going through the motions. And that's why, like, something like this, I want people to know you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
If I realized it a little bit earlier, I probably would have taken a couple different courses and things like that to specialize in what I was interested in and grow that at an earlier time.
Did you do any internships or no?
No, I did nothing. I basically just graduated college to graduate.
Yeah.
Got a job afterwards, and hated my life.
Yeah. Welcome.
Which I'm sure a lot of people do, because
a
lot of my friends are still doing the same things, and you don't need to.
Yeah.
And I think, from both of our stories, we found that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you graduated early.
Yeah. So
why don't we go through that?
Yeah. So I would say, and I've always been a rebel in that sense, where I think if anybody told me to do something or that I couldn't do something, I took that as like hey, let me prove you wrong.
Right.
And so I remember actually having a conversation with my advisor at Ryder, and they suggested, hey, look, there's no way that you're going to be studying abroad and graduating with 3 majors in 4 years. And so I took that and I said,
3 majors.
Yeah. Yeah. So I graduated.
Most people can't handle one
major.
So going from class clown to triple major
in 3,
I want to graduate early, kid.
Yeah, in 3 years. It was nuts.
What the heck?
It was nuts. I don't know. I think, again, it was one of those things where I just kind of manipulated, if you will. I don't like to use that word, but
packed it, whatever. Yeah,
exactly. I kind of created a path or a journey for myself to really kind of dive in and, again, graduate with 3 majors in 3 years. So my 3 majors are international business, economics, and global studies. And but yeah, I loved it. It was a passion of mine to actually jump into economics. I'm a numbers guy at heart. I am most happy behind an Excel sheet, which for anybody out there probably is nobody. But no, I enjoy that. Yeah. But how about you? So you jumped around. It was,
coming out of that, basically, we come from 2 different worlds, finance and creative. And that's, I guess, what makes the company that we started, Elude, work at the beginning, because your mind works different than mine. So after college, graduated, it was a few years. Alex and I knew each other for years. We would go on group vacations and things like that. This is just to plug, I guess, our company, even though this podcast isn't about that. But we created a company where basically we go on vacations a lot. We don't care where we go. We have our time off. We know how much money we can spend. Where are we going? So after one of many attempts to try and figure out a spot for a New Year's trip, we ended up going nowhere because, the process sucks. And basically we just kind of came to terms with, why don't we just build a product ourselves where you put in when you want to go somewhere, how much money you have, list all the places that you can afford to get to. And now we're talking about going to cool places. So that's what we're doing as a company. And then outside of that, what we also do in the lab, if you guys follow us on socials, we started a company called The Lab, where we kind of coach or mentor or whatever you would describe that as. Yeah,
I'd say kind of the lab's point is more about bringing all of our networks, so myself, yourself, we brought in a handful of others, and really just kind of help others that are trying to either start a business or, kind of attack it, where, we've learned so much over the course of the last few years.
When we look back to when we first started trying to make a company, you can Google and search YouTube and everything like that and ask people that have done it, but you really come up short. It's very difficult to find exactly what you're supposed to do. And the lab for us is giving all that information over to people so that they can break out from their 9 to 5 and start the company that they want to, or launch a product that they want to. We're cutting out all that bull crap of whatever floods your vision. Like, this is the streamlined path to, if we're just going to plug that real quick, it's basically building a deck, getting you ready for a pitch competition, knowing how to handle a phone call with somebody that you've never spoken to before and get your idea across very quickly and efficiently, how to structure emails, what investors to target, what is an accelerator and how to even apply for it. And, throughout the year, there's not millions, but there's a ton of them that you can apply for. And basically arming you up with everything that you need to attack what you want to do.
And I also think too,
people need to do that.
It's exactly that. I think a lot of people can say that they know that information. Right. And I would even say, like, if we were to tell ourselves a few years back, right, like, how to write an email, right, that seems very generic. But I also think it's one of those things where
we've learned a lot.
And down to the design, kind of the brand of a business. And so we're looking to bring that back. And
so this podcast also is kind of information in that same regard, where, a lot of the people we want to come on here with and talk about are how they started, what worked, what didn't work, what to look out for, what to focus on, what to totally disregard, because there's so much, like when pitching, there's a lot of information you don't need to talk about and
even discuss.
Yeah. Even just to get to the point, it's kind of like a weird thing for some people to understand. And when we've been doing pitch competitions, the last 3 in particular, Alex took home the W.
Oh yeah. The W.
Boom. Got him every single time. And afterwards people come up and they're like, hey, can you look over my deck? Like what would you keep in? What would you take out? And when we're watching people do this, like these people have spent years on their companies and need money to make it work.
Level. Yeah.
And to get that kind of attention, what we need to do is refine that down and give people exactly the information that they need. So that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. And I also think too, like when we're talking about the break, right, and kind of our goal here, I really think, there's a lot of podcasts out there right now that are attacking it more about the journey of different entrepreneurs and bringing people on about, how did you grow from
And
this?
that's good for inspiration.
Yeah.
But we want people to actually start and doing it. And we're not going to handhold your way through it, but we're going to arm you up like Neo in the Matrix scene when you're going into the lobby. Boom. Strap.
Got it.
We're strapping you up so you can go in there confident and knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
And people talk a big game, but get the information, get what you need to do, and go execute it. People are excited about their ideas, but now what do you do with it?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to, coach people along with, whatever you want to call it. And I'm excited for that because this generation of entrepreneurs coming up is going to change the world in ways that we don't even know. Yeah. The companies right now, our advisor board, like these companies didn't exist 5 years ago and they're changing the landscape now.
Yeah.
So that's only going to keep going. And we want everybody that, can add into that to add into that.
Please add into it. Yeah, exactly. No.
Let me just check here. So I guess what I wanted to kind of wrap this up. We're about at the halfway mark now. This is just, like I said, a prequel to the podcast, just so you guys can get a little bit more information about us. Who's coming on next? So we have next week. We have our first guest. That'll be episode number 1.
Awesome. Yeah. So
you want to give him a
I'll
quick
give him a nice little intro. So we have AJ from Roomy, and I don't know if anybody has checked out Roomy yet, but basically what they end up doing is they actually create kind of a roommate matchmaking, but also for the I'd say more about the personalization of a roommate, right? So you don't want to be stuck with someone who doesn't smoke. And what he's done is he's raised, millions of dollars for his business. At this point, I think he's also working on kind of helping other entrepreneurs as well. So it would be great to get his intake about, how basically what his story is and how he's brought it to that point, but we're really excited.
Yeah, so that's going to be a good one. The thing that we've learned most about the entrepreneur community, and this is also why we're trying to add to the community, they help each other. It's the biggest thing. Like we grew up on the East Coast. New York City was our city. Yeah. And if you guys are familiar with it, you'll get it. If not, it's very cutthroat. It's very fast paced. It's very cold. If you are not helping somebody like advance, get out of our face. Yeah. Like that's the mindset of people over there. And it's very abrasive. Nobody helps each other. It's kind of like cutthroat. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. I also think too, it's one of those things where, in New York particular, and I feel like that could even be something where we jump into, full in depth about the difference between New York and California.
Huge difference.
It's massive where, a lot of people are just, not willing to actually go above and beyond. And I think that's something that we've learned is you have to in all cases. Yes. Every entrepreneur out there, I think, has given us probably more good and bad input. The bad is probably even better in some cases because you get to learn from it. But just constant feedback and helping other entrepreneurs.
And it's funny. So when you go from East Coast to West Coast, this is just, just to give a little taste of it. Yeah. When we took meetings in New York, you're fully suited up. You're looking sharp.
Do you remember that?
Spray that cologne on. You got everything going.
Oh, yeah.
You're looking like $1 million, right? Yeah. And we've had a few meetings in New York with advisors, with different CEOs, with VC companies. Our first trip over to the West Coast.
Wait, you have to break this belongs in like a break. You have to process it. Yeah, walk it through.
It's embarrassing, but it was a learning experience for us. The shift, and from that kind of geared our heads towards what West Coast and entrepreneur community is. And you probably have seen it on TV shows, but if you live it like we did, oh boy. So we had a meeting set up with a VC company. We basically set it up to talk about funding, our seed round for Elude, and we flew into San Francisco. We had the meeting the next morning. So in the morning we got suited up.
Oh, we were looking good. I even think there was a selfie in the
elevator.
In the elevator.
Yeah, we have that. We'll post that on wherever we post it. We go down. We're walking from the Uber ride to the. I don't know if it was a hotel. It was like a weird like. It was like
kind of like a co-working
but
space.
People live there too.
Yeah,
it was strange.
Yeah.
But anyway, all the while we're walking up there, people are looking at us in the streets, like
what are these guys
doing?
Who are
these Jehovah's Witnesses walking around?
I
think we had a briefcase.
Yeah.
We walk in. Thank God
he canceled.
Or
rescheduled for the next day.
But we didn't get that email.
Yeah.
So we walk into the lobby, and the woman is staring at us like, "What are these guys doing?"
Yeah.
So we sat down. We were waiting for a little while. You had checked the email.
Yeah.
It had gotten moved to the next day. So we left. Desuited, and then just hung out in San Francisco until the next day. But then when we met with him, we dressed in normal clothes because I think we met
at a coffee shop then.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
And we told him, we were like, we came yesterday. Sorry about the mix up. And I don't know if I said it or you did.
I think I said it. Yeah,
we were like, we came in full suit, ready to go. Kind of like an offhanded joke comment. He looked at us like we had 6 heads or something.
As in, like, what are you guys doing? Yeah, that's not.
Where's a suit around here? Moral of the story: leave your suit at home
when you're coming over to California.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. He's like, listen, this is how people dress. Casual.
Like a hoodie.
We're doing business. This is how we do it. It's comfortable around here. It's totally different mindset. So for us, that was like, okay, it's like this. Yeah. And from that point on, when we met other entrepreneurs, I think even that weekend we met a couple different companies.
Oh yeah, at the launch event actually. Yeah.
And just like they welcome new entrepreneurs with open arms. How can I help you? What are you working on? This sounds amazing. I'm going to get you hooked up with this person. Let me give you these links. Yeah. It's basically a open free for all. Like, here's all of our information that we've ever learned. Yeah. Take that and run with it.
And I think too, definitely something that we've learned. I think that there's like there's two types of entrepreneurs, right? There's like the entrepreneur who says that, and in some cases maybe they're too busy. I get it, but they'll say, "Hey, I got a friend of mine who I could hook you up with." Or then the other guy who's like, "Yeah, I could probably do that," and then they actually do it. Yeah. And
we've had both.
Yeah, we've had both.
But the thing is, most of the community gives back to the community.
100%.
When one company does well, everybody does well. Yeah. It's that rising boat. Yeah. I forget exactly what the words are, but
the rising boat. The rising boat.
Yeah. But so this is us giving back. Yeah. With the lab, that's us giving back. We want this community to grow. We want to keep being positive members of said entrepreneur community.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, you never know who can help you. Talking with everybody always helps. People are working on vastly different things. A thing that we learned in the beginning, when you have a really good idea, you're kind of scared people are going to take it and steal it and run with it. And I think that's a very easy thing for somebody new to a business.
Of course.
Feels like I have to guard this with my heart and soul, like sign this NDA, and yes, NDAs are important. Like that'll be another topic of conversation. But in the beginning, when you have an idea, share it with people, especially this kind
feedback.
of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need feedback. You need to bounce it off because maybe you haven't thought everything through.
And one thing too, I think what we've realized is you literally, as an entrepreneur, you need to put your heart and soul into what you're creating. And even if you just like give and I say give with quotation marks, but if you give your idea to someone, the chances of them actually going and putting in the 80 to 90 hours work per week is not going to happen. No. Unless, again, there may be a rival and, you have bad blood, but typically that's not the case.
99% of the time,
exactly.
It's not going to happen. So be open about it. Share your ideas, live it, own it.
Yeah.
And get that feedback and run with it. Don't be scared to open
just
up
share
about
it.
that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's what we learned also. We're just going to keep it going.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I really think, something like this, personally, I listen to podcasts day in and day out, whether it's at the gym or whatever it may be. And I don't think that there's a variety of whether it's routines or things that you can learn as an entrepreneur. And so hopefully we can bring that to light with the break.
Because I know between me and you, we live completely different lives, but we work in the same company.
Yeah.
And we're both striving for the same goal, but what motivates me is different from what motivates you. Routines are obviously different.
Yeah.
Our timing schedule and what our day is shaped out is completely different, but it blends well. So that's some of the things that we're going to go into in future episodes with other people, just because everybody does it different.
Yeah.
There's no cookie cutter way. So don't be scared to do it your way.
Exactly. Creating
it's going to work.
Yeah.
If you put in the time and effort and always be positive, good news, bad news, it's just news. Just keep going with it. That's what
we're here for.
That's what we're here for. So I think this one's going to be a shorter abridged episode. We're probably going to cut it out in a couple more minutes, and stay next week. We're going to have
so definitely check us out. So basically, what we're going to end up having is have AJ come on, probably talk a little bit more about routine, maybe a little bit more about kind of his past, and just kind of discuss all things startup related, but then probably dive into a few juicy content,
stories. Tragedies, great things that happened, whatever. Something that you can use for inspiration, but then also kind of the actual steps.
Yeah.
Inspiration is good. We all need it. Sometimes we need, the For Dummies PDF.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to try and also provide. But why don't you give our socials, where people can follow us and check this out?
Yeah, so check us out on eludetoday.com. We're also, if you go onto Instagram, we're at Elude, just ELUDE. I'm fairly active on LinkedIn, so check me out on LinkedIn, Alex Simon. That's a pretty generic name, so if you have anything else, you could just add in Elude afterwards. And then for you, I believe it's also just Frank Skirbo.
Yeah, Frank Skirbo at LinkedIn.
Yep.
We both respond back pretty frequently to questions and things like that. Instagram, same thing. Through the website, I think there is a spot, and also at the bottom of this video, what we're going to do is leave your comments on what you want to know. We have a laundry list from other entrepreneurs that they want to get across to people. But if there's some specific topics or even people, like our network is pretty massive, and we can probably get somebody from a company to talk about any given topic, which is really cool. So that's what we're going to be doing. So leave whatever kind of feedback you want down there. We'll be sure to respond and check it out and add it to the list.
Yeah.
But other than that, give us a follow. We're going to be doing this weekly. AJ next week.
Yep.
Super excited. Thank you guys for checking out the break.
Check it out.
And we will see you
next week.
Time.